Hello, my name is Raymond Karchevsky, and I am a living Christ. Today I should like to talk to you about the myth of Christianity, a system of thought that controls the lives of millions and millions, billions for the last 2,000 years. And it's all a fiction. It's all an illusion. It's all a lie. You have been living a lie all of your lives if you're a Christian, or a Buddhist, or a Muslim. For these are all fictions of thought that have been programmed into you by your authority symbols, the leaders of government, the leaders of religion, those who control your lives by making up rules, definitions, ideas, and holding you accountable for behaving according to those fictitious rules. That's what man's law is. That's what rules hell on earth. You see, there's only God's law, and that God's law is based in love. It's based in oneness. It's based in harmony. It's based in cooperation. It's based in non-duality, and it is found in the godly, non-dualistic, subconscious mind of man, a mind that you have, but you have forgotten in lieu of accepting the authority of the dualistic intellect. That is the God that you have created in your mind, your fictitious mind. It is the mind of the living dead. I say living dead because it's based in thought, memory-based thought. Thought that is based in the after moment. You see, the only true existence of truth is found in the eternal moment of now. And that moment is a flash, and that's gone. There is nothing, and there is what is, and then there is nothing again except for the memory of that fleeting moment of truth that cannot be held on to, but can only be acted upon by you. And that dictates the quality of your life. I'm going to talk about Jesus. Not one from the basis of belief, but from the basis of a living, breathing, flesh and blood man of truth, a simple man of truth, a man who spoke truth, who said he was the truth, the life, and the way. Because that's all he could function in. He functioned in the eternal moment of now, which is the moment of truth. And you cannot hide that. There is no duality. You cannot create an illusion of truth, for that happens only in the after moment of the conscious intellectual mind, the satanic mind, the mind that is conditioned, indoctrinated, programmed, predictable. You understand? If you can predict an energy, you are based in illusion. Because illusion is fragmentary, partial. It can never be holistic, because the whole of truth, the holiness of truth, can only be experienced in the subconscious mind. And that is not the mind that any of you occupy at the present time. I'm talking to you in your language. But you can see that the energy of my words, the spirit of my words, is quite upsetting to you. But you never ask why. You understand that it is holistic, and it stands on its own. It does not have conditions for you to believe whether it's true or not. It is what is. And devil, duality, the conscious intellect, take the consequences. That's why you're upset with the simple, living, breathing, flesh and blood, sentient natural man, the simple man of truth, the Christ. Oh, and you rail at the word Christ, because that's a word, you understand? That's an illusion, because it's based in the memory-based consciousness. You have learned that somewhere. Someone taught you that by teaching you concepts. That's what you go to school for. They change your mind from a holistic, subconscious mind, the mind of God, the mind of creation, into the mind of a slave, a servant slave, a subject, a person, a dead man or woman, regarded so by those of government which have created you as such. And they regard you as slaves. They treat you as slaves. They extort you as slaves, or they put you in jail as slaves and create slave labor. Profits, that's what a satanic consciousness thrives on. And you look around this world of man, with its man's law, it's Satan's law, and you see that that is true. You are subject to the rules that you consent to, you abide by willingly. Understand? You contract your soul, you sell your soul for a little bit of leeway in living in a world of contradiction, which is sin, because sin is nothing more than a contradiction in essence. And so all of you, damn near every one of you, with the exception of very, very, very few, are living in sin, are living in contradiction, are living in your conscious intellect, ruled by Satan and its laws. I don't live by your laws, and yet I exist. I am in your world, the world of hell, and hell's laws, but I am not of it. I have made that break. I have stood up to the authority symbols of satanic hell, and I have challenged them. I have said, you have no jurisdiction over me. And I have used the judiciary courts of Oregon to do so. Went to 2 trials. They tried to put me in prison for 40 years, with the threat of 40 years. They found, not me, but they found the person whom they created through birth certification guilty. And when it came time for sentencing, I refused to accept their sentence. I challenged them. I set them back and said, no, you have no jurisdiction over me because I'm a living man. And you can't prove otherwise. What to do, what to do. Found guilty. And yet, when I challenged their sentence, they recanted. They dropped all charges. I called their bluff. They backed off. I had the stone of truth that felled Goliath. And most of you are still in fear, living in fear of Goliath, the giant in your mind that has power over you. I'm here to tell you that that power is fictional. It doesn't really exist except for in your mind, in your conscious intellect, and no other plane of consciousness. Because once you leave your conscious intellect, you step into infinity, the infinity of the subconscious mind, and that is the mind of God. But you have yet to find that. That's what you're here for on earth, to find yourself, to answer the question who you are and your purpose for being. I'm going to tell you what that purpose is: to transcend your satanically ruled conscious intellect and step into non-duality of truth, found only in the subconscious mind. That's what you're here for, but you have so much resistance to that. You fight it. You fight for your slavery, and yet you complain about your slavery, when it's really an illusion, only believed by you, and you're fighting with yourself. That's a fact. That's the truth. Jesus was just a simple man of truth, who was truth, who acted in truth, who spoke truth. And he was talking to people like you, who doubt themselves, who question everything, because they're confused. They want guarantees. They want perfection. Excuse me. There is no perfection in what is. There is only what is. That's the truth. And when you come to resonate with that, you're in a non-dualistic plane of consciousness where the slings and arrows of dualistic thoughts have no power over you. The threats, the intimidation, they fall by the wayside. They have no effect upon you whatsoever, because they cannot occupy the same space as what is. And you are what is. You are truth. You are a Christ. However, when you speak in terms of me and you, or I speak in terms of me and you, I'm speaking your language so that you might understand what I'm saying. But to me, we are all one, but you are not aware of that. And so I take that into consideration when I speak to you. And so I offer the truth to you. And whether or not you accept that truth is your business. That dictates the quality of your life and how long you will suffer before you realize who you truly are. I invite every one of you to look into my website, arkenterprises.com, and watch the many videos, hundreds of videos, that will give you the truth for you to ponder. Oh, it will be difficult for most of you because you live a lie. You have been trained to live a lie. You believe in Jesus. That was a lie taught to you in concepts. in myths, in legends. It's all mythology. You understand? You don't know Jesus. You don't know the living man of truth. What you know is the legend about him. And you worship that. You worship the false god of the idea, the word, Jesus. But Jesus was not his name, nor am I my name. That is the defense that I used when I stepped into man's satanic law courts. They had my body, but they did not have the truth, and that defeated them. I spent 128 days, 121 in solitary confinement. I underwent 2 hunger strikes amounting to 55 days, leaving me near death, according to the Josephine County, Oregon jail nurse. And when they dragged me into court for sentencing, near death, I stood up and I said, no, you have not any jurisdiction over this living man. And that was it. That was it. It wasn't the body that they were trying to sentence. It was the spirit that they could not stand up to. That's what broke them. And that's what I have been talking about for 2 decades now, since 2002, the court date. How many of you have understood what I have said for these past 2 decades? How many of you have changed your lives for the better? How many of you have finally seen yourself as the sovereign, living man and woman beyond the power of satanic courts? Few of you. Few have taken that step. That's what is necessary, action. The step away from constant debate, constant argument, constant contradiction, fighting, arguing. That's all you know. That's what hell's all about. Hell is dualistic, and you play that to the hilt. But you don't know how to live. You don't know how to love. You don't know how to resonate with truth. You see, that's how simple it is. Speak truth. Tell no lies. Harm no one. And you are Christ. As Jesus was Christ, as I am Christ. You see, it's not a myth, it's not a legend. I'm talking to you about truth. And very few of you get it. It's about time for your lives to change and the lives of your children and their children. It's time to change life on earth as we know it. For hell, the satanic intellect, has held sway since the beginning of time, when one man understood that as they lived and created a world of duality, they could separate themselves into masters and slaves and take the position of power as a master and control you, the sheeple, the slave. That time is over. We're going to have a collapse because they could not continue promoting the system that is doomed to failure. It will not affect me whatsoever, because I was never of your world, even though I was thrust into it. as temptation presented itself, satanic temptation, to go along, to get along, to abide by the rules made by other men, not unlike me, physically, but spiritually, universe apart. That's the fact of what a Christ is. One who speaks truth, who is truth, who acts in truth. They cannot be conquered by the threats and intimidations of satanic bullies who have power over you because they control the thoughts that you have in your mind. But it's a lonely, lonely place when I speak to billions of you who cannot make that hurdle. And what is that hurdle? Just stop. Be quiet. Stop the chattering of your conditioned intellect, and you will enter into the non-dualistic mind, the holistic mind, the mind of infinity, the mind of God. You have that capability within you. Why don't you use it? That's the question I ask. What's the answer going to be? Thank you for listening.